Hi guys, so I'm guessing if you clicked this video, you know about the game No Man's Sky, the highly anticipated, highly hyped up summer, major summer release. The space survival game that's set in a universe with 18 quintillion planets, blah 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 blah. You know all about it. And recently, once No Man's Sky has come out, it's been kind of a dumpster fire. That's the only good way to put it. With people arguing that it's not really worth $60, not enough content there for it to things that the developer Hello Games is doing, which is what I'm going to be mostly talking about. And I think that it's ridiculous of what they're doing. And if you don't know what they're doing already, then, well, you're going to find out. Because they're doing some little... They're misleading their customers, okay? I think. And they're not talking about it, and I think it's ridiculous that, even if they're an indie developer and they've had this huge game that they've had to make, it's unacceptable, okay? It's unacceptable, and Hello Games needs to answer for it. So the face of the developer Hello Games, and kind of the face of No Man's Sky, the one that's been really marketing it, is Sean Murray, and he's kind of because he's the face of all of it. He's kind of been the center of all the controversy, and basically mostly around the things that he said, or hasn't said. So the controversy around things that Sean has said have mostly been the major claims he's made about the game, what will be in it and stuff like that. Everything that basically everything that he said about the game since the game was premiered at the 2013 VGX Awards. I know it's been quite a long time, and just the many things he said, the many claims he's made that just haven't come true. They're also with the E3 trailer that just looks nothing like the game, just all of it, and just the tons of things that he said. So, to show kind of all the things that No Man's Sky promised but didn't end up fulfilling, you could easily just search up No Man's Sky, and the first thing to pop up is sadly all those things that they didn't have on a Reddit post. Yep, talking about just all the things No Man's Sky promised, Sean Murray promised, and are missing from the game. I mean, you can read it yourself. I'm not going to go through all of it. I mean, it's a long post. I'll put a link in the description for it. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, this is quite extensive. I don't know. I think just Sean Murray just talked about a lot of stuff, talked about a lot of ideas they had that weren't really realized all that well, and he just kind of just blurted them out, and it just never came to fruition. So I think that's one of the problems with all of these things. I mean, I'm not talking about the co-op, finding other people, multiplayer stuff. I mean, that's inexcusable. I mean, all this stuff, I've kind of fallen to the wayside over time. But yeah, you can just see how much they've promised and just haven't lived up for it. And it's a classic case of just, high ambition and just not being able to reach that, especially with such a small team. So another one of the major problems that plagued No Man's Sky was its PC launch. Now, granted, a lot of PC ports are buggy and just not well optimized, but this was particularly kind of bad. Tons of people having different problems and stuff like that. And again, like the actual game, they should have waited to release it. Waited so that it was fully optimized and fully realized. And I'm not surprised about that at all, because they were literally saying that they were still working on the PC version when the regular version was about to come out. So honestly, that's not surprising. But I mean, come on, they could have easily waited. I mean, it wasn't even a Tuesday when the PC version released, which is as the usual time video games release. So I don't know why they just didn't wait for it to be optimized. But currently, they are trying to fix the problem. So maybe that'll be one of the few problems that No Man's Sky fixes, that it's plaguing it right now. But yeah, many people have had problems, stuff like that, with drivers, graphics drivers, stuff like that. And I guess in some ways it makes sense with the procedural generation of the world, but I mean, the game doesn't look that great, honestly. I mean, graphics-wise, it's not that amazing or anything. But yeah, the PC, it hasn't been doing so good. Hopefully, No Man's Sky can at least fix that with its PC patch, and hopefully Hello Games can find a solution to one of No Man's Sky's major problems. So the first match that lit the dumpster fire that is known as No Man's Sky right now was the controversy over the multiplayer aspect of the game. So Sean Murray, throughout him going around promoting the game, has always said you can always find other players, right? And you can tell over time, slowly, he kind of pulled back on this a little bit. So, at first when he started promoting the game, he talked about being able to grief other players, stuff like that. Really being able to interact with them. Like he sounded like, finding a player wouldn't be that hard of a thing to do, or anything like that. And he just thought it sounded like a more integral part of it to start out with, at least. At least that's how it sounded to me. Um, but slowly, he started pulling back on it. After a while, he started saying, yeah, that you can't find other players, but the likelihood of that isn't really high. And then he started pulling back on that more, and then he's like, yeah, you could find other players, but the likelihood, the likelihood is really low. And then, right before the game came out, he posted a tweet that said, like, this isn't a multiplayer game. Don't go in looking for that experience. So it was a little weird, and it was kind of red. Those were some kind of red flags for the whole, problem or whatever. And then another major breakthrough in the story was the deluxe edition of No Man's Sky, and the back cover of the game, the back side of the game case, had a sticker over the online, the part that said that the game was online. So that's kind of weird. And then also, that's on Steam as well. It doesn't say online. And then, on PS4 you don't need uh, PlayStation Plus. So those are all kind of red flags. They're a little weird. And the first day of the game, two of these Twitch streamers ended up meeting up with each other on a planet, and they couldn't see each other. And also, one player was in the daytime, one player was in the nighttime. So they could notice each other, like, like categorizing things and stuff, and with the naming animals and stuff like that, but they couldn't see each other at all. And they both did everything possible to be together. They both got PlayStation Plus, they did everything, and they couldn't see each other. And the part that raises the largest red flag out of everything that I just said is the fact of how Sean Murray responded to it. So he responded to it saying, wow, people finding each other on the first day, that's crazy. And, not acknowledging the fact they couldn't see each other, even though he obviously knew about it. So, that raised the red flag. And then he kept talking about just how they were surprised that they could handle all the servers, and they were, like, they didn't expect all these people on there, which is kind of odd, because there's a thing called pre-orders. But, so they were like, wow, 10 million, the 10 million species have already been categorized, more than Earth. Like, he was just like, it sounded like he was completely dodging the question, talking about how there was server strain and stuff. Like, even if that was the case, though, he should respond that way. And you shouldn't be all cryptic like this, it's just really weird. It raised a bunch of red flags. And then the other thing I said, it's just, honestly, I think what happened is, this is the worst case scenario, obviously. Maybe it is a server error, but the way he's acting like it, honestly, I think they originally had that idea going, and then something happened along the way. They had to get the game out, so then they didn't have it ready in time for release. And I don't know if they're going to add an update to it or not, or if they're ever going to address it, but they need to, because, it's misleading people, okay? People expected to find other people. Even if you say it's 0.00001% likely, that should still happen. And honestly, come on. You said it was that low, but people found each other in the first day. So, it's weird. It's really weird. And, in the Twitter, the tweets that he had after the incident, he, talked about how there were features to try to bring people together to see each other, which, again, is also kind of weird, because why would they do that if it wasn't in the game? But at the same time, why isn't he talking about it? Right? And it's just all kind of weird, and they need to be honest with people, and I don't know why they're not. I don't know if they're waiting to slip it in an update or something, and they don't want people to know about it, and they didn't expect people to go on the first day, and they're like, oh crap, that 0.001%, they somehow that happened. So honestly, it's really weird, and I don't know why they're not honest, because people are pissed at them because they're not saying anything, specifically Sean Murray. So I don't know, but they need to address the issue. Well, here's the thing. Sean said, "Yeah, about those free updates. Yeah, they may not be free. I may have spoke too soon." So, yesterday, actually now, this is when the new controversy struck No Man's Sky with Sean Murray spewing out crap yet again, saying that paid DLC is possible for No Man's Sky, even though he said earlier that that wouldn't be the case. So, yep, this is what he said. Maybe in the future we'll have paid DLC if there's some reason why we just couldn't possibly afford to do a certain feature without charging for it, which seems kind of weird when the game's already $60. People are, it's my opinion that it's not that $60 is too much, but a lot of people are arguing that it's just really not enough content for it. And yes, like I said earlier, in previous interviews, it said there would be no paid DLC. And the worst part of all of this is that he says it after the game comes out. I mean, come on, dude. Did he think of this afterward? I mean, come on. They must have known about this earlier. And the worst part of it is that already on top of all the other crap that I've talked about earlier, he talks about it after the game is released. After everyone's bought the game thinking that there would be no paid DLC, he did all of this. There's already the part where he dodges the questions about meeting other players, and then he does this. I mean, when will he give this game a break? This game already has enough trouble with it anyway, with people being mad that it's too repetitive, and then he does this. Give yourself a break, Sean. Give yourself a break. So, between the DLC and the fact that he's dodging these questions about, people being able to meet up, he has misled customers, and you just can't do that. It's completely inexcusable to mislead people like that. I don't know if it's Sean's fault. I don't know if it's just the developer's fault in general, but it's inexcusable, and they need to do something about it, because honestly, with all the things I've said, even with all their circumstances, you still just can't do that, okay? And they need to tell people now instead of later of what is actually going on. It need to be a little bit more transparent, okay? Because with a $60 game, with this game this big, you need to say something. You can't promise all these things and have people, wanting to get the game because of it and then pull back on those promises. It's just not a good thing to do in business and just, video games and stuff like that. You can't do that. Sean, this is the point of the video where I talk directly to you now. I want to have a heart-to-heart here. I know you must be through a lot. You must feel like the weight of the world is on your shoulders with this huge, ambitious, hyped-up game that many people were hoping for. Now, you may have failed in some respects, sadly, but you cannot go out without a fight. Actually, I mean, that's a little mean. I shouldn't have. I'm sorry, Sean. I'm sorry. Don't cry. Don't cry. I didn't mean that. People still like your game, because some people do. What I meant to say is, don't give up on your fans now. You gotta tell them the reality. You gotta be more transparent, Sean. You have to be. For your fans. Sean, for people who care about this game. You have to let them know what's going on, and not after the game releases. You can't just drop on people paid DLC. People don't like that. People don't like paying for things, Sean. Especially when the game's already $60. Sean, you've screwed up, okay? There's no going back from that. I'm sorry you screwed up. Sean, I'm sorry. Sean, it's okay. It's okay. You can come back, though, Sean. By telling the people, Sean. The people need to know. Sean, okay? Tell the people, Sean. Tell the people. For me, no, actually not for me. I mean, the game doesn't interest me anyway. But for your fans, Sean. For people that have high hopes for No Man's Sky, who enjoy it. Because, Sean, you've made something original, unique. Don't let your dream die now, Sean. Don't let it. Sean, if you're watching this, heed my advice, Sean. That's all I have to say. It's time, Sean. It's time to let the people know. I mean, come on, Sean. You already told the people about the paid DLC. I mean, that's bad enough. I mean, you really couldn't do much worse. Fix your game, Sean! So those are my thoughts on No Man's Sky. You know, it's hard to make a game, and Hello Games did really well for for such a small team, and they've made something that's interesting. It's not something that I personally would like, but some people do, and that's fine. But the thing that they need to do is they need to own up to their mistakes, and the problem is they should have done that before the game released, and they should have kept their word. And it's just they got to do it. And the problem is they've waited so long now that if they do say anything, then it's just going to look even worse. And just piling up, I mean, just all of it, it's not looking good, and it's crap. I mean, to mislead your customers like that with that kind of game, just Sean, come on, man, you gotta tell the people. But in the end, there's really nothing we can do. Only Sean can make that decision. So yeah, that's about it.